Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And via speakerphone on the wonderful iPhones that we both own, I have John from
Insecta Etcetera.
Insecta Etcetera. All right. I think I botched it the first time we spoke too. So. And now, John, you are actually out in your workshop at your home here. What are you working on?
Well, I got a shipment of monarchs and their relatives in, and I'm getting those prepped. I've got a lot of, we got about 20 shows lined up for the rest of the year, so I'm pretty busy getting frames prepped, and I've been dismantling my collection over the last few months and putting that in boxes too.
Mm-hmm.
So getting ready for the art shows, which are a lot of fun.
All right, excellent. And now to give people a little bit of a background, I met you. You were actually running a little stand up at the Miller Hill Mall, which is actually where we tried to interview first. But the oh so wonderful exercise moms kind of put a damper on things. But it's cool that you can get out with your babies in the stroller and exercise with everybody else. That's not really something that I've seen before. So that was neat to see. I think we had also talked about how I was worried for you because they were running past and you have all these gorgeous frames and butterflies and beetles and things, and they didn't knock any of them down though. So that was good.
That was good. I was concerned you might get run over by 20 ladies running with their strollers,
Yes, so true. And honestly, as soon as they had started, you and I were still talking, and as soon as they had started, all I could hear was clip, 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 the whole interview, and I was like, oh, no. But second time's the charm, right?
Yeah, right.
And now, John, yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, it's nice and quiet out here.
All right. Wonderful. And now you've said that you actually have some shows, or you've got shows lined up for the rest of the year. Where are you going to be, sir? Is that kind of more mall shows? Is it art festivals? Is it fairs?
Well, mostly art shows.
Okay.
The shows at the mall are okay. I do well there, but 13-hour days in a mall is kind of hard to take.
Oh my goodness, I'll say.
Yeah, but I've got a lot of art shows. The Blueberry Fest in Ely, the Apple Fest over in Bayfield, Wisconsin, and my son-in-law is out in the Denver area, so we've got two shows lined up in November. One in Boulder and one in downtown Denver, so that should be interesting. Mm-hmm. We're going to take the show on the road.
All right, excellent. Yep. Wonderful.
Yep, and I've got a few shows down around the cities, Wyzetta, and of course I do the ones in Duluth, Chester Bowl, and the Festival of Trees up the deck, and. So yeah, it's going to be a busy summer. Looking forward to it.
Good, excellent. Get out and get some sun and show off those beautiful butterflies of yours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, John, you actually put together all the kind of shadow boxes that you display with your butterflies, and I almost want to say fairies because that's really what they look like. I mean, they're just absolutely gorgeous and so colorful. Not really the butterflies that we see up here. And now you get those from farmers down in South America.
Yeah, I've got, I have a background in fine arts and entomology. Mm-hmm. And that kind of led me to make the frames and get into this. But I had a huge collection of my own, maybe 6,000-7,000 specimens.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and I've been selling those off, and I've been replenishing what I needed from friends that have butterfly farms and have set up butterfly farms in Madagascar and Central and South America. Mm-hmm. So most of what I have, they call them butterfly farms, people that raise butterflies, mostly in tropical rainforest areas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a nice low impact, sustainable business for the people there, and they're not out catching. They're not wild caught butterflies. Some of the really common ones that I get are wild caught, but
Okay.
most of these are farm-raised butterflies.
Oh, okay. And that's more of a humane way of doing this type of business rather than going out and depleting the wild critters that are out there.
Exactly, and these my friends that have set up these farms, the way they run these is they raise a number of butterflies for sale, and they release a number of them into the wild. So
Oh, okay.
it actually helps. It helps the cause.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you probably know, and most people know, the biggest problem with all the wild animals and insects worldwide is the loss of environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the rainforest, especially, because that's of course where you get the most colorful butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
So as the rainforest has been decimated, so have the animals there.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever been, if any of your listeners have ever been to a butterfly conservatory,
Yes, yes.
where you go in and there's lots of butterflies flying around inside.
Mm-hmm.
I get my dried butterfly specimens from the same places they get their live pupas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they order in the live pupas and they let them hatch in there.
Oh, okay.
I think those are great. I mean, it increases people's awareness of the natural world, and maybe will kind of lead them towards helping to conserve what's left of the environment out there, the wild environment.
Right, right. And now, John, you said that you get dried specimens from these farms. Now, do they come dehydrated? Are they sun dried? What does that kind of look like when they come? I mean, are they powdery at all? What are you looking for when you unpack?
Well, what they do is they dehydrate them.
Okay.
So they're good and dry. I get them dried in envelopes with their wings folded up, and then I have to rehydrate them, and they get somewhat softened, and then you pin them out and let them dry again. Then I get them in the box.
Okay. Is that really difficult to do? I mean, if you just think, about a butterfly wing or a dragonfly wing, I mean, they are pretty fragile, honestly.
Yeah, I sell quite a few insects, and the Etcetera part of the deal. I mean, I sell insects, but
Mm-hmm.
I also get into some tarantulas and scorpions and beetles, which are insects too.
Uh-huh.
But the butterflies are the most difficult to work with. The butterfly wing is pretty delicate, and the colors on a butterfly wing, they're almost like pastels on paper. They're under a microscope. They're overlapping scales, and one little slip of the finger, and you got a big smudge on the wing, and it's not very useful anymore. But I've been chasing butterflies since I was, I guess, 4 years old. I can't even remember when I started, but I've prepped thousands of them for other collectors. When I was in college, back in New York, I did a lot of prep work for the collection at the university I went to. So after 60 years, you get good at it,
Oh my goodness, 60 years.
Yeah, well, I guess actually more like 65 because I started when I was 4 years old. I was 70 in a couple of weeks, so it's about time I figured it out, right? So
Yes, true enough, true enough.
Yeah.
So, what was it like catching your first butterfly? I mean, now we're going far back, I realize that, but was it exciting? Was it thrilling to kind of watch it around in its jar? I mean, what was that like? I mean, it kind of sounds like that part really molded you into almost what you do now.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. When I was a little kid, and other people that are into the natural world will understand this. I was just the first time I saw butterflies, I was just fascinated. Butterflies, wildflowers, birds. And when I was a little kid, I was always wandering off, looking at whatever was available in the natural world. Getting lost in the woods a couple of times doing that when I was little. But, yeah, I mean, so my father actually, he knew I was fascinated with the butterflies, and he helped me get started. But I mean, my first butterfly net was a coat hanger with a paper bag taped to it, and I have had better equipment as time went on. But
Good, good.
it was always really exciting to me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just getting a close look at these butterflies for the first time. It's just, it's one of the most beautiful expressions of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Butterflies, birds, wildflowers. I'm interested in all of that. Really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And now you said that you went to college out in New York, where you're from. Now, did you study environmental science out there, or did you kind of take a different path and this became a hobby for a while?
Well, let's see. It was a hobby and an interest all through high school. But then when I went to college, I was primarily a biology major,
Okay.
a fine art minor. Then I kind of switched that and focused on fine arts. But I always stayed in the entomology and vertebrate zoology were the graduate courses I took,
Mm-hmm.
and did a lot of curating for the collections that were at the university I went to at Cortland State, and did some work with entomologists at Cornell, and
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent, excellent. And you said that you kind of put together butterflies and other people's collections throughout your days in New York. Now, what led you to Minnesota?
I really wondered about that this winter when it was 31 below here in Carlton.
I think a lot of us did. I think a lot of us did.
Yeah, really.
I definitely did too.
Yeah, like how did I get here? But my wife
Mm-hmm.
raised her children down around Rochester, Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
and she was originally from New York.
Okay.
And we knew each other when we were kids, and we got together about 10 years ago. And she, of course, wanted to be where her children were,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was northern Minnesota. And her son has moved out to Denver, so we're kind of driving between Denver and Duluth. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool that you can take the show on the road as well.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and all kidding aside, I love Minnesota. Northern Minnesota is such a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, for me, it's a sunnier environment than upstate New York, where I'm from, which is pretty cloudy and rainy.
Oh, yes, I can only imagine. And now, most Minnesotans are familiar with the monarch butterfly and a number of the moths that we have around here. Try to say that word 10 times fast. And now I think the monarch is a beautiful orange color and things like that. However, in your displays, I mean, you've got more of the iridescent butterflies and things like that. Do you find that they just sell better? They're more eye-catching than our more native species?
Yeah, they are. The tropical butterflies, the same with birds, I think, and wildflowers and butterflies. As you get closer to the equator and the tropics, the butterflies get more colorful. They make a lot nicer presentation in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Monarchs are a beautiful butterfly, and they're one of the. We have tiger swallowtails around here. That's the big yellow and black butterfly you'll see in the summer. But I think monarchs are probably the most famous butterfly from northern Minnesota. But after that, most of our local butterflies are kind of drab. But you're right. We do have some incredible moths that are huge in the silk moth family, Luna moths, and quite a few people have come up to me when I'm doing shows and show me pictures of Luna moths. That's the big green moth with the long swallowtails, and Cecropia moths and Polyphemus moths are also silk moths, and they get up to 6-7 inches wide.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they look pretty exotic for northern Minnesota. They're beautiful moths.
Yes, wonderful. Do you have any of those in your collection? Is there a demand for any of those?
Well, people ask me for Luna moths, and I was talking to a friend of mine who's been raising some Luna moths, and I may get a few from him.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of my business cards, people's names in the back that wanted framed Luna moss, so I'll have to do that. I don't actually. I've had them in my collection over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any right now.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But I do have silk moss from other parts of the world. I mean,
okay.
Some comet moths from Madagascar that are the world's largest moth,
mm-hmm.
point to point on the wings, and some atlas moths that are the largest lepidoptera in the world, that as far as square centimeters of wing goes.
Mm-hmm.
The silk moths are an incredible family of lepidoptera. They're worldwide, and they're huge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Excellent, sir. Excellent. And now your wife, Deb, actually helps you out run this business, after retirement business. We were talking a little earlier, and you said you're probably more busy now than when you were actually working.
Yeah. It's what are you going to do when you retire? I didn't have a clue, but
mm-hmm.
after I thought I could just go fishing every day. I love to get out on the trout streams. You can just fish so much. I found out.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to do something to supplement my income and to do something that interests me.
Yeah.
And so I sold a few frames to some contractors that were here working at the house a couple of years ago. And my wife said, "Okay, there's the solution for selling off your collection and not leaving me with 6,000 bugs." So yeah, that's what kind of got it all started.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing led to another. Now I'm doing 20 art shows this year.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful, sir. Absolutely wonderful. And now, what does your wife do on the business side of things? I know she kind of sets up your schedule a little bit. Does she help you out with pricing or anything?
Yeah, she actually, without her, this wouldn't be happening, because she has some experience in website design, and she's a great organizer, and I need that. I have some artistic talent and knowledge of the butterflies, but she's the one that lines up the shows and keeps the website and the Facebook information flowing, and she's great. Without her, it just wouldn't happen.
Sounds good. And what is her reaction? I know you had said that she was like, I don't want you to leave me with 7,000 framed insects here. But what was her reaction when you said, "Yeah, I'm gonna order some more and we'll get this going"? So was it?
Yeah. Well, it worked out. It worked out well enough, and she enjoyed doing the art shows, so she was all for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a regular thing. I'll get a shipment to the house here from Madagascar or Costa Rica, and it's pretty interesting. So she's all for it, and it's a lot of fun.
Good.
It's fun. It's fun doing art shows, meeting other artists. Like I said, I have an art background. I did a lot of print making, and I used to throw pots and did jewelry making, and so I can appreciate other artists at the show and the shows I do. And that's a lot of fun. It's a whole network of artists out there. So
right.
I've got my friends that are entomologists from that part of my background, but it's also fun to get out there and meet the other artists and see the work they're doing.
Yes, very true. And John, you've definitely found a niche that not very many other people do. I can't say I know anybody else that frames insects and sells them. And I mean, I really wish I could show people your insect collection, the one that I saw anyway. I mean, the way that you position the bugs and how you get the frames to work, and I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. You do absolutely phenomenal work, and I applaud that you have the patience to work with something as delicate as a butterfly, because I know I don't.
It kind of lends itself to the artwork, and my my art style. I did a lot of detailed work. I used to do a lot of etchings
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of really fine, detailed drawings. So this sort of delicate, nitpicky kind of work fits in with my style, my artistic style too. So that works pretty well.
Yes, wonderful, John, wonderful. All right, so you've got at least 20 shows lined up. You're hitting a lot of Minnesota fairs. Then you're going to drive out to Colorado, take the show on the road. Um, what is the most kind of unique piece that you have? Now, when I was at the mall, you actually had a couple of bats.
Oh yeah. I didn't think I'd be selling bats, but I have a friend that is a curator at a museum, and Natural History Museum back in New York,
Uh-huh.
and he handles a lot of collections and a lot of taxidermy work. And I was speaking to him a couple of months back, and he mentioned he had a collection of bats that he had to either auction off or donate to a university. And I said, I think I know people who would be interested in bats. So I bought a portion of the collection. And so now, that's part of the Etcetera, part of Insecta Etcetera now. Some really nice Asian bats.
Okay, all right. No Minnesota bats?
What was that?
No Minnesota bats?
No Minnesota bats. No, these are all Asian bats.
Mm-hmm.
The bats in Asia and Europe are doing really well. The bats in North America, and you may be aware of this, and I bet a lot of your listeners will be aware of this, there's a fungus. It's called white nose syndrome that has affected the bats in North America, and unfortunately, they're dying off in huge numbers. There was, the fungus came from Europe, from some spelunkers. Spelunkers are people that like to climb into caves. And they evidently brought this fungus back from Europe. Now, the bats in Europe and Asia, because they've been living with this fungus for millennia over there, they're resistant to the fungus. But like so many diseases that were brought to North America, I mean, we know the history of the American Indians and what happened to them. When this fungus was introduced in a cave out in Schoharie, New York, and what happens is the bats get this little white fuzz, and that's the fungus around their faces when they're hibernating in the winter. And just makes them really weak. And unfortunately, that fungus is spread across North America. It's all the way out in the state of Washington.
Oh, wow.
I was talking to a biologist about this. It's not killing all the bats. There is a cave down by Minneapolis that I think about 95% of the bats have died off. Their hope is that from the 5% of the bats that are left, the numbers will come back with bats that are resistant. And we'll know the difference this summer because a bat can eat a few thousand mosquitoes in a night.
Very true.
We're not going to be seeing the bats around here, and we'll be seeing plenty of mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yes, true enough. True enough. You may be doing mosquito artwork pretty soon.
Yeah, true.
Excellent. And now, John, did your wife come up? Did Deb come up with the name, or was that all you? How did the name come about?
Well, we kind of thought that out for a while. I was just going to name it Insecta. I had a big etching I had done. It was a whole group of different insects in this etching that was about 35 inches wide. And the title of it was Insecta. So I was looking at that and I said, there we go, Insecta. But then I had some lizards, some flying dragons, they call them, from Southeast Asia that I put in frames.
Okay.
And I had tarantulas and scorpions. And so it wasn't totally Insecta or insects. So I thought, okay, well, how about Insecta Etcetera? Which is kind of a mouthful. I watch people looking at our sign trying to decipher what it says. Maybe I should have made it simpler, but once people get it down, they kind of remember it.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a name that sticks. I know the first time we had chatted, oh man, did I butcher that?
Well,
I
you're not
mean,
the only one.
well, but I mean, how many times are you going to see etc. written out in its entirety? Um, I
Yeah,
think most people just abbreviate and call it a day. So I think that's kind of neat that you're dipping back into that old English and bringing it back.
yeah.
Yeah. And now, John, if somebody's interested in purchasing an art piece or kind of seeing where you're going to be next on one of your shows, how can they do that? You mentioned that you have a website and Facebook.
Yes, Insecta Etcetera.com will
Hmm.
get you to the website.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of information there. And I don't have an online store,
Okay.
but I've had people call me here in Carlton, and I've met with them. And I've done custom frames.
Hmm.
And people see something. There's a lot of pictures of the shadow boxes and frames I've done on the website.
Okay.
And from there, I think you can get to our Facebook page,
Hmm.
and you can see my work. And if anybody was interested, they could certainly give me a call.
Hmm.
The phone number's there,
Okay.
and I'd be happy to have them stop at the house, and we can talk bugs.
All right. Excellent, John. Excellent. Well, John, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to chat with us here. And thank you so much for talking bugs and talking shop.
Okay, my pleasure.
All right. Wonderful. I will definitely turn some people your way and get those bugs flowing from your hands.
Okay, Crystal, wonderful. Great to talk to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, John, and have a great day.